I just bought this Arctic Cat 700 TBX. Arctic Cat just had a no-brainer sale. I called them. They said I had to work with a local dealer. I called all the local dealers in the area. None of them really could help me. They didn't have any. So I called around a radius of about 3 to 4 hours, and I found 3 of these still in the crate. So I bought this one, $7,500, including all the taxes, the licenses, the front grille that you see there. I've got the hitch in the back here already. There's even a battery charger that goes to it. So for $7,500 working in the Appalachia here, you can't beat that. Just an all-around great utility ATV. One thing I did is I went out and bought a ProMart winch for ATVs and UTVs. Instead of buying the Arctic Cat one, which is twice as much as what you can get at ProMart, and half the pounds. So I think the biggest one I found there was 3,000 or 3,500 through Arctic Cat. It was very expensive. I got this 5,000 pound one for less than that, and they delivered it in a day. Now, how do we install this? Now, to mount your ProMart, first thing you gotta do is find a spot to mount the solenoid. Now, on this ATV, I could not find any place that was designated or designed to mount it. So what I did is I came down here, and you have this metal bracket here. This is aluminum, and it goes between the top suspension bar or frame down to the bottom frame here, and your suspension here. So I took this solenoid and I leaned it up against there, and I center punched the hole on the bottom just to get things started, to make sure it wasn't too low. Then I took, and behind this frame here, I slid a board back here, because you don't want to drill into this plastic. You don't want to take any risk at all. So put a thin board back here, and I drilled the first hole through this plate here. And like I said, it's aluminum, so it's very easy to drill. Once I got that on, I placed this bracket on over that hole, and then I center punched the top hole here. Again, keeping the board back here, and I drilled through that. Then I took 2 fairly hard rubber washers to put between the solenoid here and this aluminum frame, for 2 reasons. One, there's a groove on this frame here, so it sits in, so the solenoid will not sit in there correctly, so I needed to bring that out of the way. 2, there are shock absorbers, so you won't get the shock in the solenoid. Now, next thing you got to know is, well, how do I connect this, especially to the battery and stuff? Well, you have your operating manual, but this is wrong. If you go into this manual here, you will see all these diagrams on how to hook this up for the solenoid. The color code is wrong on it, and I called them, and they said, well, it's been like that for 5 years, nobody's ever brought it to their attention. Now, you'll see on this operating manual here, the diagrams are wrong. They've got on this the power, the hot side of the battery, and the ground side of the battery reversed in these drawings. And I made a call to the customer service because I hooked this thing up and it didn't work. Per the instruction manuals here, concerned that I might have took some of the life out of the solenoid. Now, it didn't damage it, but if a solenoid has a life expectancy of 10 years, to knock it down to 5 or 8 by hooking it backwards. And of course, the customer service person didn't have a clue. So these diagrams are wrong, but there is a color code on the bolt. One of them will be red. That's the center post here. That's got to be your hot to your battery. These 2 are correct. So in terms of all the wiring, everything's correct except for the battery connections. These are reversed. All you do is take those directly. Now, you got the red side here, it goes to the positive side of the battery, and you got the black here that goes to the negative side of the battery. Now, to mount our ProMart winch. Now, the TBX is all set up. All you got to do is slide this winch in. Then you'll take 4 bolts that go from inside underneath using this lock washer, and just screw them up into the winch. Also, when you put this plate on here, this screw here will also go into welded nuts on the back side, so you don't need the nuts for that. Then all you gotta do is take your 2 cables that come with it, yellow and blue. They're already coated on the motor, so just look at that. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then the matter of routing that cable, and you want to tie that up against the chassis. You want to route it in here, come up through the chassis. Use these zip ties. You're going to want to buy some. The ones that come with it, you only get a couple. They're not real heavy duty. You want to get real heavy duty ones here that are much nicer. They're going to work better and last longer. And we just take that right up along the chassis here. You see here, as we're zip tying this through, we're driving this up, tie her down to some other cables or bars here to hold her. We wrap her around here. We come up underneath here onto our solenoid here. Again, the diagram in our owner's manual here is correct for this side of the solenoid. Yellow on top and blue on the bottom. These are also color coded, I believe. So that's pretty simple. Probably the toughest thing in the whole thing is taking this switch here. We took the switch here, I mounted it to the left side of the handlebar. You got the cable here that comes down with the wiring. That's got to go down, and also I fed that through and I brought that up right here on this cable here, tied to that. Again, brought it right through here, tied it back to the other two cables. Come here, the green and black wires, plug right into the solenoid right here. So that was pretty simple too. Toughest thing is when you turn the key on, I want it so when the key's on like that, that this is powered up. So what I did was I unplugged the harness in here and plugged this connector from the switch. Once you do that, then I took an ohm meter and I found the 12 volts, which happens to be on the top, and I ohmed that. Well, I used the voltmeter on the multimeter, found the 12 volts from the battery. I then took the switch out. Take the switch out, all you got to do is unscrew this. Once you pull the key, all you got to do is unscrew that. It's easy to do, it's not very tight. Pull that switch out and ohm across that switch to find out when I make continuity. So use the ohm meter part of your multimeter, find out when I make continuity, so I got power here. Now what I found in that connector, it was the top side of the connector that had the 12 volts, and the top side on the right side of this connector, which is a red with a black line through it here, this had the 12 volts once the switch was straight up. Now if you go on the switch here, where it's all the way over where the lights are on and you want the lights on, you can add to the lower part of that connector, but I just did it for the on part here. Then what you want to do is you want to take the red wire that comes out of the harness over here, comes out of this harness right here, and it comes out down towards the bottom. What I did is I made a little cut in here because I'm going to connect up here, and I pulled that red wire which had the small red conductor, and I pulled that out so I could splice right in here close to the connector. Okay, now once you've got your red wire out from your switch for your winch, I pulled this connector off. Easy to do, just squeeze it up here, pull it straight out, and you can pull it right out here. The conductor that's red with a black strip on it, I cut that, but I left myself some room from the switch. You want to leave yourself 4 or 5 inches to work with. Now once you cut that, you're going to be short. You can't wire the other wire in those two conductors back. There's just not enough in the original harness. So I took the red wire that I didn't need a lot of, since it's so close to the switch up there, and I used that, and I made a jumper. So I added a jumper in between these to give me 6-8 inches anyways, so I could hook all 3 back up together easily. I used a couple wire nuts here, as you can see, and then I used some electrical tape to seal those, and that works perfect. But again, get yourself a little multimeter. You'll want it for voltage to find the 12 volts, and then you'll want it for continuity to find out where this switch is on and off at. After that, it's ready to go. It works great. Good luck. Again, use ProMart. You will get a winch that will pull twice as much for half the price than you will buying it through Arctic Cat.